11:03. So welcome everyone to the Committee on Public Services. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga, Commissioner Palomera, frozen. Commissioner Palomera, Commissioner Kinlock,
Present. Here.
Commissioner Hattis, Commissioner Baydoun,
Here.
Commissioner Dobb,
Here.
Chair Marecki.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none. Next item.
C, approval of the October 12th, 2021 meeting minutes.
So move.
Support.
Okay. Jinx. Okay, we have an approval by Commissioner Dobbs, supported by Commissioner Baydoun. Any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving last time's minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item.
Aye.
Hi, everyone. This is
hi,
Ed
Al.
Pettis. Hi,
Yep, great. Welcome.
thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Item 1, new business communication from the Department of Public Services, forwarding the September 2021 report of all complaint calls made to 1-888 road crew.
Okay, any questions on this?
Move to receive and file.
Okay,
Support.
all right, we have a move to receive and file with support. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
Item 2, requesting commission approval of a cooperative agreement with DLZ Michigan.
Okay, is anyone here
Aye.
on the call?
Commissioner Ricky is Daryl.
Oh my God.
Commissioner Ricky is Daryl Jones from Buildings. I am here on this call.
It's Eddie Fakori from the Department of Health, Human Veteran Services on the call.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what's wrong with my dogs today. The house is all closed up and they're barking like crazy. I'm sorry about that. Okay, please, can you just tell us about this project? Lucy.
Eddie, could you start out and then I'll finish up? I'm actually driving. I pulled over from the expressway here and too much noise is interfering with the conversation. Did you hear me, Eddie?
Sure, Daryl. Addressing the commission and with representing the department, I want to just start by saying, you know, from a technical perspective, I won't be able to speak to the request, but from the department's perspective as to investing in this facility, this is for the design and planning for improvements that have been long overdue for this particular facility. It's focusing on improving the systems, the mechanics, and the electrical throughout the entire facility. As we are all aware, there has been a great deal of strain. This administration in 2015 inherited a facility that was unfortunately poorly designed as far as the requirements needed for existing in our beautiful state of Michigan. So we have made a decision to invest in the medical examiner's office as a department and as a county, especially after the pandemic and the strain that the facility was under. So in order to initiate this, we, in partnership with Buildings, have worked with them to identify DLZ as the resource for the design and planning phase in order to get the construction, hopefully that will start in spring of next year. So this would be the first step towards that that solution.
That is correct. And to add to that, commissioners, one of the things is that when we reviewed the building and went through the process, that we wanted to give life to this building at least 15 to 25 years. We have a bad roof on the building, which we need to repair, and autopsy rooms that have drain issues that we have to actually tear up the flooring for that in order to repair, and increasing the space in the autopsy room. These are major things that need to go forward, and we have to make sure that it's done. The design, as Eddie is speaking on, was actually a California design. And I'm sure that commissioners remember when we tried to get some work done to the north side of the building, which during the winter times, the pipes freeze. And if the temperature is like at zero, that we have a bunch of autopsy rooms that we break pipes, and we have to tear down that whole section. And the way it was formed at that time is that you have to actually close down the whole section in order to get that repaired. And if I'll take any questions from that point.
Okay, so it's $500,000 for the engineering and architect design services, and this is all coming out of COVID money?
That was the design. Some of that was definitely coming out of the COVID funding, and it was based on, after researching, I think through the CFO, that's where they elected to take the money out of instead of, I guess, the CapEx.
Okay, does anybody know where the money, it looks like it's going to cost $3.5 to $4 million to do this. Where will that money come from? Does anybody know at this point?
I believe that is out of the capital funding from that point.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Any commissioners have questions on this?
I do.
Go ahead.
My question to you is, as you were coming up with the various changes and assessing the needs going forward for the medical examiner's office, how involved was the medical examiner, as well as the folks who supervise the medical examiner's office at University of Michigan? So how engaged, how involved were they in determining the specifications and needs, moving forward for this facility? How involved were they?
I understand your question, Commissioner Kim. Eddie, can you speak on that? I can't speak on it, but I didn't know if Eddie
I'll
had
start.
more inside information.
Sure, I'll start. Commissioner,
Wait, sir.
I'm sorry.
Could you, for me, because my dogs were barking, identify yourself again and what department you're in?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Eddie Fakori. My title is the Director of Administration for the department. Medical examiners is one of the divisions of our department, and I've been involved in this project from the very start with buildings. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, great, thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that. Okay, please answer the commissioner's question.
Sure, Commissioner, to an extent that we needed them to identify the experiences they've had since 2017, leading up to our request to invest in that facility. They were involved quite a bit. It helped the buildings team from the county to really hone in on areas of greatest need in terms of critical in nature versus those that are more considered a wish list. What this project's focusing on is all items that are critical in nature. So there is a consistent and continued effort working with all the stakeholders, those that are functioning in that building daily. That includes the University of Michigan staff, as well as the department level staff, including myself, and more importantly, Daryl and his team, since they are the ones in the front lines daily. So the involvement of identifying needs, it was quite regular, but as far as the recommendations and the pathway to kind of solve these issues, we as a county leaned more towards Daryl and his team based on the obvious experience of and the nature of the work.
Okay, so we all are hearing currently all of the issues that are taking place. We have heard that there have been some refrigeration issues and all of these things there. So I do understand that we have to determine the ultimate do the ultimate make the alternate determination and needs assessments and setting up the priorities. But they're running a day-to-day, and I don't want them to be able to have the ability to blame us for not doing their job. So I absolutely wanted to get some clarity on whether or not they were involved in any aspects of determining what was critically needed at this time.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Totally understandable, Commissioner. And you and I, the commission and our department are of the same perspective. So from the very start, they have been engaged. There's been constant dialogue and regular meetings to get us to this point. I can assure you of that.
And to add to that, Commissioner Kimlock, this plan and was actually scoped out 3 years ago prior to me even coming. And then actually we went over the plan several times in order to make sure that we were targeting the main issues in order to keep the MEO building operating and functioning in the proper way. And some of the concerns is actually, obviously, we went through the flood here, that we had a major flood there, and we did major repairs and taking care of that point. So these are the things that we wanted to oversight to make sure that we revisit before we just went down that road of spending money and not able to repair everything that's needed at this point. And they were all a part of this, even started 3 years ago, and I came along and then we revisited and then redid everything from that point.
Okay, perfect. Yep, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Are you all set, Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Daub, and I see Commissioner Varga online.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, welcome. Okay, Commissioner Daub.
You, Madam Chair. In our analysis packet, this is regarding the construction budget. It states that an opinion of probable construction cost has not been developed for the scope items. Is that a normal thing when putting together a construction budget, that you would not do an opinion of probable construction costs when doing the budget?
But yes, Commissioner Dodd, we do normally. And one of the things is that we always have a contingency plan in place. The process is that still in the construction equipment, as we all know, has went up. So that kind of varied the price of what we could actually pinpoint. And that is like the amount has tripled for construction equipment. And we wanted to make sure that we revised it and make sure we had enough funding in order to complete the project so we wouldn't fall short.
Okay, so I'm just sorry, I don't know much about construction budget, so I'm just trying to understand that it says an opinion of probable construction costs has not been developed. You say that we can't do that because we don't know what the costs are going to be because they're increasing. Is that?
Well, what I'm actually saying, when we constructed the job and had to revisit it again, these were right at I won't say it was after the pandemic, but basically when pricing has increased, the estimate has necessarily increased for the process. And what we did was make sure that the funds and the contingency funds would be in place for that. So we don't have a fixed number because each day the steel prices and construction stuff goes up on a daily basis.
Okay, got it.
And
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's sufficient. I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. So the 3.5 to 4 million that was mentioned, was that the original estimation, like pre-pandemic, of what it would cost, and now you're thinking it may be more than that, or?
Well, Commissioner Maricki, one of the things, and I want to point out, actually we had a higher cost more than that as far as trying to refab the whole building. And what we decided to do was take on the major issues that to make the building operable and to give at least 15 more years out of life of this building. So the original cost was probably estimated as necessarily doing something about 7 to 8 million, but a lot of that work was not necessarily needed to be done we wanted to make sure that we focus on, oh, excuse me, this guy's trying to pick me up. He thinks I'm stranded on the road. One of the things that we were trying to do, I'm good, thank you. One of the things is that we were trying to do is necessarily pinpoint the freezers, the mechanical equipment, and an autopsy room in order to give them more life in those autopsy rooms, because basically the pandemic brought on a lot of things that caused us to say, hey, we need to evaluate this and we need to focus on those areas. The initial scope of work was, like I said, it was around 7 million. It was other areas to beautify, which we really didn't need at this point. We need a functioning, operating morgue at that point. I'm sure I didn't finish what your question because I got distracted. Can you reiterate your question again?
No, you answered it. You answered it. I appreciate that. Any more questions from the commissioners or any direction?
One question is not specifically on this, but it's just a general question. Daryl, was there ever an assessment done on or evaluation of the expectation, usability expectation of Wayne County for all of the buildings owned by Wayne County, such as the medical examiners?
Yes, actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that. There's a project that actually started maybe about 6 months ago. We have a spreadsheet that is not ready to be actually given out, but we're working out on that, is to evaluate all our buildings and the surplus amount of money that it would cost to do repairs and major concerns, and even evaluate the building to see if we should sell the building or, and cut our losses at this point. So every building that we have is being evaluated. We do have set numbers and estimate costs of what the cost would be for the buildings. The problem is that this was probably created 6 months ago. And as I once again iterate that the cost of construction has necessarily changed that. So we're in the process of revisiting those numbers, and definitely we're trying to submit that and put that in front of for the CEO to take a look at it. Then we'll probably actually make sure that you guys have a plan of that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
To follow up on Commissioner Kenlock's question on those buildings, do we know if all the building occupy or we have some vacant space? And what's the square footage of vacant space, and how much the county lease for services some other building, to compare what we have and we're not using, or we max on what we have?
Mm-hmm. That is also, Commissioner, in that analysis as well. It does take into consideration what we have as far as occupied space. We've also, as we reconfigured that, is also based on the pandemic, on people working remotely. So we've already configured the occupancy of space from that. I just don't have that in front of me right now. We are planning, and that isn't part of the analysis, to give you a whole scope of what we're spending, how much it costs, even lease and rental properties as well, as we configure those. And one of the things as we're working on towards Lincoln Hall is to necessarily sure up expenditures there in order to make sure that that building and our other buildings are lasting for at least another 10 to 15 years as well.
Excellent. And I hope we look into the Guardian building, how much the county use in that building and how many square foot we lease to some non-governmental agency.
It is on the spreadsheet as well.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing that, Daryl. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any direction from the commissioners?
Move for approval.
Support.
All right, we have an approval from Commissioner Hadis, supported by Commissioner Baydoun. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on this, please?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hadis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Marecki.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of Amendment 6 to a 3-year contract with the joint venture of Orchard Hilton McClement and Hubble Roth and Clark.
Okay, Any questions? This is for engineering services.
Move
Move for
approval, Madam
approval.
Chair, Kenlock.
Okay,
Support
Patty.
Kenlock. Support Kenlock.
okay, so who moved it?
Hattis.
Okay. Got it. All right, any questions from commissioners? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this one?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a 3-year revenue generated contract with a 2-year option to renew with Greater Detroit Auto Auction.
Okay, this is for the auctioning, the DPS trucks and cars and whatever comes their way. Any questions on this? Okay,
Support.
all right. We have an approval by Commissioner Varga, I think supported by Commissioner Palomero.
Yes.
Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a contract with 2 1-year options to renew with Santoro, Inc.
Okay, this is for OEM for our heavy and medium trucks.
Move for approval.
All right, for an extension.
Support.
of funding. Okay, we have an approval from Commissioner Baydoun, supported by Commissioner Hattis. Any questions on this? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Westland.
Okay, this is for Park
Move for
Board,
approval.
right?
Support.
Okay, we have an approval by Commissioner Hattis, supported by Commissioner Baydoun. This is for a Westland Park improvement. Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Would you like to move to addenda before the
Yes.
discussion?
Yes, sorry. Okay, now next item.
Item 8, requesting commission approval of a construction agreement with Municipal and Contractor Sealing Products, Inc.
Okay, this is for sanitary manholes.
Move for approval, Madam the Chair.
All right.
I'd be glad to move anything with the sewage issue. Hope to solve all those problems.
Yeah, yep, slowly but surely. Okay, did anybody support that?
Support.
Okay. We have an approval and support. Any questions on this one? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item.
Item 9, requesting commission approval of a 3-year professional engineering contract with the 1-year option to renew with AECom Great Lakes.
Okay.
Move
for
approval,
Bridgeport.
Kenlock.
All right.
Support.
Okay. We have an approval by Kinlock, supported by Dobb. Questions on this one?
No, that wasn't me. I think it was Commissioner Varga.
Oh, okay. I heard like 3.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll? Just for bridge work?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chairman Recchi.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item?
Item 10, requesting commission approval of a resolution authorizing an issuance of revenue bonds for the Phase 1 long-term corrective action plan.
Is there anyone here that just can touch on this?
Good morning.
Morning.
This is Karen Brown from Lewis and Monday. We are bond counsel on the financing for this project. So the $5,585,000 project is being undertaken to begin work on the first phase of the 6-phase project to remediate and address certain actions that need to be addressed to come into compliance with outstanding orders. We have, for this financing, only 2 projects that are being included, and it includes manhole inspections and some design and engineering projects. It will be financed through the Michigan Finance Authority. We are on track to complete the necessary county approvals that are necessary to engage in this financing. The bond authorizing resolution is before you today. That's the last piece of authorization needed. And the Eagle order of approval is scheduled to be issued on November 15th, at which time all approvals need to be in place. And then the closing is scheduled on December 10th. The notice of intent was approved by the county in August. And so we are moving through that 45-day referendum period and expect that to expire in a couple of days, by the 1st of November, excuse me, which is a couple of days.
Okay, and you need it by the 15th, you said?
Well, no, the
Approval?
approval for the bond authorizing resolution, and that's before you today,
Right,
is needed before November 15th.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, any questions on this?
Move approval.
Right,
Support.
okay, we have an approval and a support. If there are no questions, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chairman Recchi.
Yes. Motion passes. And thank you for the explanation, by the way. Next item.
Moving back to the agenda, item 7, discussion on the 2021 Household Hazardous Waste Program.
Okay, who is speaking to this?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Patrick Cullen actually is going to speak on this voucher program. I basically want to speak on our household hazardous program that we are excited to bring back in 2022. As everyone knows, we were not able to have it in 2020 due to the pandemic. And even this year, due to the timing of our ability to process that agreement, as well as our contractor having, suffering the same challenges with staffing, the company to help us with that. We were not able to have the program through the communities this summer that we wanted to. However, we still wanted to, by the time we got our contract approved, working with the contractor and Patrick's team, we still wanted to do something for our community. So what we came up with was the voucher program, and Patrick's going to go into detail about this program that we're still able to offer this year in lieu of having the individual community programs. Now, we also want to retool this program because even though there's a greater need out county, traditionally this program usually is held in Westland, Dearborn, and even in Taylor. What we want to do is expand that, because I get a lot of emails from residents throughout the other side of the county. We want to also have a date of a collection in Detroit that will also service Hamtramck and as well as Highland Park. So we have added on, dates for that to happen in 2022 and then have a location. So we're going to come back with a household hazardous program. We didn't want anyone to think that's going away. There's a greater need to help our community. We're going to expand it to really supply and help more communities. So Patrick's going to tell you the voucher program now and what that means. Now, I want to also say we do want to apologize that this program actually started, with the time it did, and then a notification getting to the commissioners. At the time that I tasked Patrick in a very short amount of time with doing 3 things really quickly, working to have some sort of program, like a voucher program for our household hazardous residents. Also, at the time, we had the incident that occurred in Flat Rock, and the county was helping in every way. We also at DPS wanted to help any way to help those Flat Rock residents. So we had him work with the contractor to put on an emergency collection of 1 day for Flat Rock, as well as other, environmental needs that we needed to do. So we do apologize for the lateness of everyone being notified about the voucher program, which is starting, because this was something that was put together really quickly, that wasn't planned throughout the summer. But again, the need was to have some sort of collection for our residents, especially with all the flooding that occurred this summer. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick, and Patrick will go through the voucher program and the wonderful program that we offer and that we're going to pay for our residents, and how this program is going to work. Patrick?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Good morning, Commissioners. Patrick Cullen, DPS Environmental Services Division Director. I think Beverly actually laid it out very well. The voucher program came about in discussions that we had with our contractors previously, and also some of our neighboring communities that have undertaken a similar program. And what it really has 3 different goals. One is to alleviate the crush of people that come to the 1-day collection events. As many of you know, the pre-pandemic and our last large-scale collection events, we had very long lines, very long waits, and more demand than we really had capacity to manage at those 1-day events. And so in discussion with some of our neighbors and with the contractor, they started setting up these opportunities for residents to come to the contractor's facility for individual household drop-off. Sacra did this. Plymouth Township has done this on an individual community basis. Other communities have done something similar. It's a little bit of a different scale when we're talking about Wayne County. And so we've started this with a very soft rollout to see what sort of capacity we could handle by implementing, a program for our residents. And as Beverly said, one of the things that we're trying to do as well is we're trying to, we know during the pandemic how many residents have accumulated stuff, and they've been holding on to their HHW, waiting for an option for free disposal. Now, residents have always had an option to pay for disposal, and we've provided that to them. But the folks who are waiting for one of our collection events, we're really concerned when we roll out our events next year that we're going to be overwhelmed. So this is a way to alleviate some of the volume of material that's accumulated from the residents. And also it's really a pilot program. It's a trial run for us to see how is this going to work? You know, can the contractor manage a certain capacity of residents coming in that are getting that are utilizing the program? So a couple of weeks ago, we sent an email out to all the DPW directors, to all 43 communities, and said, hey, we're rolling this program out. We've got a limited quantity of vouchers. Are you interested? And we had a very strong response. We had about 20 communities that reached out to us and says, yes, we'll take a supply of vouchers and distribute them to our residents. So that's where we're at right now. We've got about 2,000 of these on the street. People are just now starting to roll in with their cars to our contractor's location. We've got kind of a pause in voucher distribution at this time because we want to make sure that we're not overwhelming the contractor site in Livonia with so many residents at one time. So residents that get a voucher have the opportunity on these days and times. It's during the weekday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 5. They're open a little bit later on Tuesday, Thursdays until 7 p.m. to take any accumulated household hazardous waste materials to ERG Environmental Services in Livonia. The commission approved that contract for disposal with ERG earlier this year. And as an aside, you know, we had planned to do a collection event, at least 1 or 2 collection events this summer. And as Beverly mentioned, the flood back in June really put the squeeze on. We were going to have one in Westland, and then Westland was too overwhelmed with floods to be able to assist in the hosting of that. So we put off the day collection events until next year. We have dates identified already. We are finalizing locations for those full dates moving forward. But for now, for folks who have a voucher, they can drop off their materials these days and times at our contractor's location in Livonia. It's a very similar list of items that are being accepted, similar to what we would collect at our collection events: paints, household chemicals, a lot of electronics. It's an opportunity for residents at their own schedule to take their materials and drop them off. We've also, when we sent this flyer out to the DPW directors, we also offered an option for individuals to contact us directly for individual vouchers, and we've had some of those. We've had a few requests for those as well. So in these first 2 weeks, we've had a very, very strong response. We're not surprised by that. We probably could issue thousands more of these vouchers, but we are limited by capacity at the contractor's facility and obviously budget as well. So that's why we did the soft rollout of the program. We want to see how it works first. We're going to take this first month or two to see, hey, can he manage the amount of vouchers that we're putting on the street? And then moving forward, we hope to offer this as an ongoing option for residents to utilize. So that's kind of the brief overview of the program. We're really excited to be back into this arena of collecting hazardous materials from our residents. It helps alleviate the amount of waste that's getting landfilled. It recycles these materials. It's really important, that we're doing this. It's compliant with our solid waste management plan, and it's certainly part of the mission of what we're trying to accomplish. Happy to take any questions that any of the commissioners have.
So Patrick, if somebody wants a voucher, then they have to contact their local DPS or DPW facility or city in the township and ask for the vouchers.
So they can. So there's 2 options for them. There's a quantity that have been giving out to the local community DPWs, and they've been using their own methods of distribution within their own communities. I know that there's been, certain local communities have put Facebook posts up and such and said we have vouchers available for you if you want them. And for others, they can also contact us individually, and we will work with them on getting them a voucher. Yes.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So let me see here. How about we'll start with Commissioner Dobb.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many vouchers are left at this time?
Right now, we've distributed roughly 2,000, which was about the maximum that we wanted to do in this first round, Commissioner Daub. And so over the next, in about a month, we're hoping to release an additional quantity. So we're really in a kind of a touchy-feely wait and see kind of a mode right now to see, okay, we put this many on the street, you know, are you getting overwhelmed at the facility? If not, we'll have more moving forward.
Okay, so I was going to ask then, has the county put anything out on social media that we as commissioners can share? But it sounds like we're kind of stopping right now, and maybe in a month we'll put some more out. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, that would be accurate. And
Okay.
and I guess in my goal, and I actually haven't talked to Beverly about this, so she might yell at me about this later, but
I never yell.
I'd like to have a flyer for all of you to be able to share on with your home constituents at that time.
Yes, yes. Madam Chair, I was going to say on that point, absolutely. This is a soft launch, like Patrick was saying, but our goal was when we see that it's not exhausting the capacity of our contractor and the response from the community, we definitely want the commissioners to be the partners on it, share the information, and even possibly seeing something online where you can also help us get the vouchers in the hands to your constituents as well. So absolutely, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And going forward, again, like I stated, I think it was so rushed because we had Patrick working on Flat Rock. We had him with this program. And as everyone may have heard this previous weekend, we were working on Ecorch Creek. So to help clean up with that. So he was working on that. But our goal is, even before, when we find out the outcome of how this is going, our pilot, I like to call it a pilot program, then we definitely will be letting you know ahead of time before anything else is launched and how it's going to go. So that way, all of the commissioners will have all of the information that you can also post in your newsletters or on your social media accounts. That way, getting the word out of how residents can obtain these vouchers.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I was also going to ask, was this kind of just a pilot program? Because at first, you know, when you put up the slide and it was like, oh, this already started and we hadn't heard anything about it. And I was all like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But,
well, we're going to blame Andy for that. Let's blame Andy.
No, this is great that, you know, soft rollout and pilot program to see how it goes. And then I think this is a wonderful program. And if we can get this, you know, in place for next year, I think people would really like to have these vouchers. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Daub. We're going to go to the commissioners on the committee first, and then I see Commissioner Anderson has joined us. Commissioner Palomera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's a great program. I think it's a great way to ease back into having the county accept these items. My question is this: I see the acceptable items or examples of acceptable items list. Is there also any examples of unacceptable items? So people don't bring something that they get turned away with. I'm wondering about household appliances or lawnmowers or some of the bigger stuff.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Palomar. I wish I had brought a copy of the actual voucher that we hand out. On that voucher, it has not only this example of acceptable items, but it does have a list of things that aren't accepted as well. And I'd be happy to share that with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Baydun.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I think he answered part of my question on the availability of vouchers. I've been getting a lot of calls. People are asking, so are you saying that we're going to release more vouchers soon? Can we share this information now, or are we going to overwhelm the system right now if we put this information out? And this information that I'm looking at, can we have that in an email where we can share it if we're allowed to share it, I guess? And what's the possibility of adding another drop-off location like Dearborn, perhaps? What are your thoughts on that?
So thank you, Commissioner Baydun. Our goal would be in roughly about a month, maybe sooner, we would have this information for you to be able to share. And that is definitely our goal, as we had mentioned before. Regarding alternative drop-off locations, right now we can only use, we only have the ability to utilize the contractor's facility in Livonia. A longer term goal of the program is to establish a more permanent drop-off site year-round for residents. It's something that's been on, my to-do list for a few years now, and unfortunately the pandemic kind of put that one to the side. But our long-term goal would be to have a county site that would be open year-round for residents to utilize as a drop-off, probably more centrally located. You know, the challenge, this is great for people who live out in Western Wayne County. And it's not too bad, not too far for Dearborn residents, but for folks on the east side and downriver, it's a bit of a ways to travel to be able to drop materials off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the information that's being given out to everyone. And I guess I had the same question about the availability and the fact that all the vouchers, one of my residents was told that the vouchers are all gone. And she has been trying to do something to dispose of her materials that they've had to unfortunately hold on to. But I'm just wondering, do we know, Patrick or Ms. Watts, do we know if we have any vouchers locally available, or they just have to call and to get them themselves?
Yeah, Commissioner Anderson, if you have that resident's name, I know. So John DeMergen, who's department manager for us, who's been coordinating the distribution. I know he's on with us today and he's listening. If you have that name and you could forward it to us, we would like to know that. And then we can check to see if she has contacted us directly. He started a bit of a wait list, if you will, of individuals who have contacted him. And we do have a few left over laying around. I'm not going to say like we're completely out. So if you've got an individual who's been reaching out and didn't get one from the city, then we'd be happy to accommodate her.
Okay, I appreciate that, but I know you'll probably get flooded
Right. That's
right away. But
Yeah.
I applaud this. That's something that I had asked for recently and wasn't aware that it was going to happen until yesterday. And I understand you must have reached out to the DPS departments for the community first before you were going to let us know about it. But I think it's something that we should have tried to do earlier. But I realize there's lots of other things that we're dealing with, flooding and other issues. But I appreciate the update and the information. I will get her name. I think she was waiting until the office is closed or open rather. But she was told that it was all the vouchers were gone. So, but anyway, I will let her know. I'll circle back with her, and I appreciate the information and the update. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson, and apologies for the commissioners. I'll repeat Beverly's apology for the commissioners finding out about this prior to us notifying the DPS directors. Beverly's being very kind by taking the blame for that. It is definitely my fault. So, although we all like to blame Andy for everything, so maybe we'll just blame Andy.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, again, this is great. I don't know if anyone has any more questions. I was going to say this program, after we go through the soft launch and pilot, even when we come back with our household hazardous locations next year, we want to continue this program. This will be an addition, one that will stay, and that's what we're hoping. So we have multiple options and ways for our citizens to drop off and dispose of their items, ultimately to help save and preserve our environment.
Well, that's great. And I know we'll all be looking forward to getting the flyer when you're ready to give that to us. And did you mention what month it will start up again? The regular hazardous days. Are you looking at the summer? Does that start in the summer?
Yes. And Patrick, do you have the date?
So we do have 4 dates it penciled in right now. We haven't confirmed the locations yet, but it will start in April. April is the first day. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. This will be helpful for everyone. Does anybody else have any more questions or comments before we leave? Okay. Well, we'll look forward to getting those flyers when you're ready to do it. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Okay, I know of none. Next item.
Public comments.
Okay, public comments. Have we gotten any emails, Madam Clerk?
No, we have not received any emails.
All right, could you unmute everyone?
The lines have been unmuted.
Thank you. Anyone from the public that would like to address the Committee on Public Services? If you're on an iPad or a Zoom meeting, computer, phone, you can just introduce yourself and you have 2 minutes. Anyone from the public that would like to address us today? Okay, hearing none and having no emails, Madam Clerk, next item.
Adjournment.
Okay. Any?
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and it's been supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we
Aye.
are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Go green.
Oh, white.
Hello.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week, everybody,
Yes.
especially Saturday.